October 22nd, 1954. I'll always remember that day. It was V8 day for Packard. After 8 years of the finest engineering effort in the company's history, we were out to prove the durability of Packard's greatest engine. And if you know Packard's reputation for building engines, you know we had to deliver a beaut to top the great power plants of Packard's past. A sign went up on the inside gate. We couldn't entertain the public that day. Early that morning in the plant, the star of the show was set into place carefully, like a new baby in a bassinet. A new free-breathing, multi-million-dollar baby. Then she was bundled up in a go-kart and hauled out to the proving ground. Our test track is 2.5 miles of engineered concrete, just like Indianapolis. And the same AAA that double-checks the big race at Indy was in charge of our show. To flag the start of a 25,000-mile high-speed durability run never before attempted, and to clamp a strict, impartial control on the entire performance. The automobile riders from Detroit accepted our invitation to watch. It's tough to impress these fellows. Leo Donovan, Detroit Free Press. Dave Wilkie of AP, Dean of them all. Joe Geschlin and Art Railton. And that's Pete Wemhoff, Automotive News. John Williams, Wall Street Journal. And Tom Claney. It was a tonic for 3 famous race experts. Tommy Milton, Roscoe Turner, and Ralph De Palma. And a day of calm confidence for Packard vice presidents, Graves and Powers. They knew what the engine could do. And Colonel Jesse G. Vincent knew it too. This former chief engineer of Packard came to see a dream fulfilled, a new chapter in the newsreel of Packard prestige. All these men were here to see the beginning of a run that would again prove Packard's slogan, Master Motor Builder. As the run continues, let's take a look at Packard history. In 1945, the shooting and shouting stopped. And Mr. Graves, Packard's vice president in charge of engineering, called a conference in Detroit. He wanted to talk engines.
Now, as you know, the war has produced some important fuel developments. Fuels will continue to get better for the next 8 to 10 years. So now is the time for us to start working on Colonel Vincent's dream of a really free-breathing engine. To be quiet, compact, and smooth running, this engine will have to be a V-type with overhead valves.
That was the opening gun, and the engineers were itching to go. 1946, 1947, powwows and paperwork. That's how it started. Thousands of hours were poured into producing ideas, following the good ones and throwing out the weak ones. 1948, 1949. The search went forward. We pulled in all the competition's V-type engines and put them on the operating table to find their weaknesses and their strengths. We found out what to expect in gasoline and oil of the future. We worked far ahead. In 1950, our engineers started to look like the cat that swallowed the canary. They had a free-breathing, high-torque V8 engine they liked. It was a lightweight built like a heavyweight. A smooth-running V8 engine, big enough to meet any demands that might be made on it, now or in the future, including present-day power steering, air conditioning, and all the other accessories that steal so much power from other present-day V8s. Yet it was a Scotchman on gas consumption, and not by accident. Fuel economy was designed into this engine. Our engineers chose an elliptical swirl combustion chamber to get the greatest possible thermal efficiency, and specified the shorter stroke to slow down piston speed by some 30% and cut engine friction to a minimum. That meant a big reduction in power loss due to engine friction, and put extra zip where the driver could get it, on the gas pedal. But when we summed it all up, we knew it was the free breathing more than anything else that explained this engine's terrific performance. You're going to hear a lot about free breathing, and I want you to know what we're talking about. High volumetric efficiency is the hard way to say it. We bored the cylinders large to permit the use of larger valves and valve ports. This allowed the air-fuel mixture to move in and the exhaust to move out with complete freedom. Now look at the intake manifold. It's unique. It was designed to provide uniform distribution of the fuel mixture to each cylinder, with each branch of equal cross-section and their lengths the same. If you want to see it in human terms, watch a champion swimmer. Big lung capacity, easy air intake, smooth exhaling. The winning runner has it too. Our powerhouse inhaled a big supply of air-fuel mixture into each cylinder at exactly the right time, and the exhaust left without the slightest restriction. This engine, therefore, developed full power under all conditions. For the first time, a truly free-breathing engine. In 1952, we gave it the Missouri Show Me treatment at the proving ground. No guesswork or wish work stood a chance. Our engineers scrapped the usual standards of engine performance and set some new ones. They put it through a rugged workout. Torque development was a big factor on the checklist. Would this engine really turn the wheel? The engineers expected this engine to deliver the highest torque of any automobile engine in the field. If you've been around engines a little, you know that torque, not horsepower, is the most important characteristic of a modern engine. It's torque that puts Jackrabbit into a standing start. It's torque that lets you pass safely on busy highways where you haven't got all day to make your move. And we had torque in spades. By the middle of 1952, we'd slammed this engine through every conceivable test, the equivalent of 4 million miles of testing. And our Packard engineers were satisfied that this was the basic engine they were looking for. It was a sensational performer, and a man could get at it to work on spark plugs, distributor, carburetor, generator, oil filter, and the battery. The word went through Packard like wind through a flute. We had it, a free-breathing engine. Bill Graves brought the engineering story to President James J. Nance, and things began to happen.
What's the colonel think of it? Looks like you fellows have captured his dream here.
Yes, Mr. Nance. Colonel Vincent says this engine has better breathing characteristics than any engine he has ever seen.
Well, if the colonel thinks that, that's good enough for me.
But where was this engine to be built? Packard's multi-story Detroit plant didn't fill the bill. But that didn't stop the vice president of production, Ray Powers.
Why don't we build it in the Utica plant?
Well, what would you do with your jet manufacturing?
Oh, we have some other plans for the jet engine. It'll work out all right.
Would the Utica plant be suitable?
It's almost ideal. It will let us put our automatic transmission and differential job as well as the new V8 engine line.
Let's do it. Let's put the new engine out of Utica.
The Utica plant was originally built for jet engine production, but the switch was on. Mr. Powers' manufacturing engineers waded into the job. They studied production methods for every part of the engine. The blueprint room was in the paper business, turning them out by the thousands to steer every step in the manufacturing process. They timed the main assembly and sub-assembly lines. They plotted a production line and ordered machine tools to work the line. In the fall of 1954, after months of labor, the Packard Utica plant, the most modern engine building plant in the business, was ready to go. Production lines were rolling. Heavy transfer machines were in action. These precision machines started turning out the finest engines ever built. And the whole operation was quality controlled from start to finish. Every man in Packard knew that this baby we called our finest was being built to the highest standards of quality in the entire industry. Look at the hair-splitting device for balancing a crankshaft. You can talk all day about building engines, but the good ones have to be built this way. 36 major components, coordinated perfectly, to produce this first truly free-breathing engine in the history of the automobile industry. Believe me, this engine will guarantee the future of Packard's reputation as the master motor builder. That's the history of this great engine. The engine that powers the 1955 Packard. How good is it? Well, let's check in at the proving grounds and catch up with a durability test. What's the story so far? Well, after 5 days, at the rate we're traveling over the distance, we'll better every world unlimited durability and speed record, regardless of the type of car, from 10,000 to 25,000 miles. We've already bettered the record for 10,000 miles. The Jaguar set it with an average speed of 100.65 miles per hour. We averaged 105.86. We watched that Packard through bright October sunlight and in the dark of frosty nights. It was like watching your boy run for touchdowns or smack home runs. You could feel the tenseness, the excitement, the pride of our pit crew as the miles piled up. The oil stick was showing full, and the engine was running cool. More than half a century of engine building was behind that beautiful machine out there, and it ran as though it knew what we expected of it. We watched it come barreling around in the rain and sleet. It was day 7, and the free-breathing engine wasn't even winded. It was proving minute by minute, lap by lap, its tremendous staying power. The drivers knew that the goal was in sight, and you could sense their confidence in this engine, which would make over 52 million revolutions before it passed the final flag. Nearly 3 billion inches of piston travel. We kept good shoes on her all the way. We didn't have to gamble, just hurry. The pit stops were infrequent, short, and sweet, an average of 49 seconds each. What's the score now? It's day 8, 7,957 laps. Actual mileage, 20,190.56 miles. Elapsed time, 192 hours, 1 minute. Average speed, 105.155 miles per hour, including all pit stops. Just for the record, if we end up with an average of 104 miles per hour or more, we can better more than 150 AAA competitive records. And we could beat every national closed car record in existence from 5 miles to 25,000 miles and up to 9 days, and beat him by 6 to 36 miles. Day 9. And we were down to the last lap of the toughest grind any engine has ever been subjected to. We glued our eyes on that Packard. She was topping a bunch of records, going for 9 days, 22 hours, and 40 minutes. And now she was just a minute and a few seconds away from the payoff. She had already gone the distance around the world, and it looked like she could do it again without losing a stride. That's the last turn on lap 9,851. She's on her way home. "25,000 miles at an average speed of 104.737 miles an hour. That's equal to 500,000 miles of normal family driving. No wonder a bunch of grown-up engineers wanted to yell like kids on October 31st, 1954. That was the day the Packard free-breathing V engine paid them back for 8 years of back-breaking hard work. Troy Ruttman, Indianapolis winner of 1952, never looked happier. He knew that he'd driven another winner. That free-breathing V8 beauty was sound as a dollar and ready to try it again. The AAA inspectors impounded the car for a complete analysis that proved something else we knew. Our free-breathing, high-torque V8 can take it.
Well, Bill, I suppose you're pretty proud of your new engine.
You bet we are, Ray. This engine did everything we expected of it and more.
As the officials drove that car away, I thought of you who have tied your future to Packard. You're in for the best years of your life because the heart of the new Packard is the strongest, stoutest, greatest engine in Packard's long history of building the best engines on land, on the seas, and in the skies. I don't mean good, and I don't mean better than good. I mean the very best that engineering has ever produced. A new concept of power.